Good morning, YouTube. So, right now I'm just working from home, and so I'm on my computer and stuff like that. But I haven't really been posting much lately because I've been pretty busy with stuff. And you usually, um, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's like I'm reading books and stuff like that, and um, I'm taking more in, I guess, than I'm outputting. I guess you could say. I don't know, but um, the reason why I wanted to record a video is because precisely that, because I'm starting to sort of came to a realization of what has been going on, probably since 2015, like maybe 2014. Yeah, about 2014, and perhaps why I've been falling behind in certain areas, and why it seems to me that like I'll fall behind at random times. And so basically, yeah, no, I'm trying to do two different things at once, because, but so just bear with me when I'm speaking. So basically, I think what has happened is early on in college and in my, I guess if you want to call it the career, because it was just like when I started, pretty much like trying to do my calculus classes and stuff like that. I had basically been drilled in me like a certain way of organizing stuff for classes, and then also generally too, like I had this sense of discipline to be extremely organized, and I guess I didn't even realize it was instilled in me, because the professors were extremely they presented all the information in such a rigorous way. So because I was taking an AP Calculus and physics and stuff like that at a school where everybody was basically going to be future Ivy League students, and I had just come out of like a ghetto area and just started learning. So basically, what I'm here to tell you is that what has happened in the last, yeah, you could say 14 years, is that one thing I didn't realize is that I pretty much needed to be focused on having a very advanced way of organizing stuff, and I was just supposed to latch on for it for the sake of it, not because I'm particularly like a certain subject or whatever, but in general, that's just what I want. If I wanted to achieve certain things that I wanted to do in the past, which I mean, it's like I've achieved most of it. I mean, a large part of it. But if I wanted to be like, just make it go, like just have exponential growth, I needed to have that rigorous type of organization, which is actually not, it's like you don't just snap your fingers and you get it. I think it's something that you have to learn for yourself, and it's an individual thing too, obviously. But the organization, I can't even tell you what kind of methods there are out there that allow you to organize information, not just mentally, but physically, and whatever else is going on. Like even the act of using a calendar would be more advanced than what I got going on now. I haven't used I realize, I'm looking back, I haven't used the calendar for 7 years now. I used to do that before I got a job, and now I just feel like I never needed it. But it's because I never really valued organization. And what made me realize this is because I'm reading this book on property management, and he said, basically, the author was saying that if you really want to be successful in property management, you have to be extremely well organized. And I don't know why, but like, I mean, that sounds so obvious, but for some reason, like, it was never spelled out that clearly. Like, oh yeah, I mean, somebody could tell you you're disorganized or whatever, but that's just an insulting thing. And it's funny because I talked to my friend about being organized, and the value of it. the other day, and he himself isn't at the level that I'm talking about. Although most people aren't. I mean, I would say not it's irrespective of personality traits or whatever you call it. It's more of a skill, I would say, and you'd be lucky if you had parents that can teach you these things and stuff like that, which is probably why, like entrepreneurs and stuff like that are so successful. This is my hypothesis, at least, because their organization skills are just so top notch, and you would never guess that even the most OCD person that you know of wouldn't be able to be like that. It's almost like a skill. And so, because a lot of people they like to talk about how if you want to be successful, you have to do this or that and that. But I think you have to be good at speaking, public speaking. You don't be shy. Don't be weak. Don't show this. But hear me out on this. I believe that everything is based off of initially that organization thing, because everything, once you have that down, everything else can fall into place. If you think about it, right? Imagine if everything was planned for you, right, in a calendar, or maybe everything was sorted out exactly before you even think about it. It takes all the thought out of it. And so one reason why I kind of have this idea in my mind is, like, for example, when I would sometimes, so right now it's kind of weird because the company I work at right now, so for the PE exam, for example, I was successful with that. But for some reason, so when it comes to organization, I'm basically like OCD about it for subjects I'm interested in and things that I'm interested in. But for everything else, I'm kind of garbage. And I realized that, for example, the PE exam, I was so crazy about organizing for that I had a whole suitcase of books, and I knew exactly what references to get for that and stuff like that. So that was something I was interested in. And so I was just super organized for it. So what was I going to go with that? So organization. I was going to say that. Oh God, I lost my train of thought because I'm like trying to do this and that at the same time. Anyway, the organization. Oh, right. I was going to say that. The organization aspect, what do you call that? It's weird, even though, like, for my job, I love my job and everything like that. But what's interesting is that I'm actually not motivated to be organized for my job. And that sounds like kamikaze for a lot of people. If they were to look at me and say, like, why wouldn't you be organized for your job? Like, that should be like the number one thing. And I'm just not motivated to be organized, even though I'm getting paid so much and it's everything pretty much. So for example, this is my hypothesis as to why I'm not getting promoted or anything like that. Because I'm not organized for it. And when there's certain situations that would be able to cause me to get promoted and get those big raises, I don't actually take advantage of that because I'm not ready for it. So for example, it could be a minuscule thing. For example, whenever I talk to my my manager, we're always having conversations as if I'm not really there yet, because it just seems like he catches me off guard. In general, I just haven't been organized for the firm yet enough for me to be able to just answer things in a very in a very direct way. And this is what I'm talking about. I believe that a lot of things go back to organization. I think once you have that organization down, everything else falls into place. And you talk more directly, you sound like you're more confident, and you're better at public speaking and stuff like that. It's not the public speaking itself. It's not you being shy or anything like that, not necessarily. It's the whole organization piece of it. And I don't know, I just came to this realization. It was more than just property management, even though that was also affected as well when I did it, which I haven't done it yet. In terms of like renovations and all that stuff, because I feel like I could have done all this stuff in a year when I first got it in 2019 instead of 6 years. But Well, but I think this is kind of an interesting hypothesis or whatever, because a lot of things, like, you might be behind and it may not make any sense. It could just be that you need to focus on advancing your organization skills and seeing what you could do about that. And I understand that I could go on like be specific about that, but again, I'm so behind that I can't really say anything about that. Like, the only thing I could tell you is use a calendar. But the other thing too is, I'm not just talking about like things that you could do when you're writing things down, because I do that too. And also, for example, I use a file folder for pretty much all the important documents that I would want to keep. This was for my job, for my last job. They actually don't belong here. They should belong at the old firm, but I was working remote. And here's like some stuff on renovations. And then I'm disorganized in the last one. I just in the last two, I just kind of threw stuff in there, like all my old receipts for renovations. But yeah, I mean, I keep my eBay stuff here. I mean, I'm somewhat organized, but like, what I'm saying is, like, in terms of being at the level that you want to be at for like being Jeff Bezos or something, you know, my hypothesis is that it's like the difference between having a bunch of skills and then not being there is like organization, you know. And I'm not saying I'm there. I mean, I'm somewhat excelling in other areas, but you know, but in particular, I realized I could really work on organization. It's good that I read that about that, because I was like, I would have never thought like how important that was, you know, because it made me think about it and like reflect. But yeah, as I was saying about specifics in terms of organization, you know, I was showing you all that stuff. There's also using a calendar, which basically is by definition you're sorting out time, space, and events, stuff like that that have not occurred yet. So it's like you're being abstract about things and that can manifest, but you'll never know exactly what that might be. And then I was gonna say also organization for like, it goes beyond what I was just saying. Like the other thing too is organization for like organizing things for your computer usage, you know, that can allow you to have documents beyond the physical, you know. So I know that you know, maybe some of you on YouTube can give me some tips as to what you guys do for organization. But like, for example, for me, I mean, I like to use the desktop because it's visual. You can see what's all on there, and so I use the desktop for certain folders. The thing about that is, see, that's another thing that's kind of interesting, is that I tended to keep my desktop extremely messy. Like, all my documents were all over the place and messy. Like, I just how I was, because I never had a fetish for organization. So to me, it's like a pain in the ass to try to put it all together. And so this is what I realized has to change about myself. And it's not a personality trait or whatever you call it. It's more of a shift of skill, I guess you could say, because maybe it's just that it's not in you to do those things. It's like you don't use a muscle, and then all of a sudden you use the muscle and you're getting better at it, and then now you want to do more workouts with that muscle. So it's like that. That's how I look at it. And it's like a muscle that I haven't trained for years and years because it just didn't seem important. You know, it's like I guess that's kind of what's going on with my well, if we're talking about the gym, my abs and also my legs. My abs, I do work out to some extent, but my legs I almost don't. I almost never. So it's just like, it looks like this unsymmetric body in a way. So it's like certain parts of the body are more pronounced than others, and then, you know, it's just kind of weird. But it doesn't necessarily produce the results that you're looking for. It's kind of like that, I guess. I don't know, but but the you know, the organization piece, in my opinion, it goes beyond just, oh, be organized and then you're done. I think that it has to be something you have to be open to, and it has to be something that you're seeking. So you may not know everything right away, but then you might come across something that allows you to figure out a method for how to do things. Now, I'll admit that I have been organized, had a sense of organization in the last 7 or 14 years. In that there were certain times where I did go ahead and create a better system for me to go ahead and do certain things in a more organized way. For example, with my finances, I now use a spreadsheet that I created, and it shows how much I could save for that month, how much I did save for that month, relative to all the costs, and what the type of costs are and stuff. I got that from Tony Robbins. I didn't get it. He didn't explain to me what that was, but it gave me the idea of doing that. Tony Robbins, Money Master of the Game. And I guess I could just show you an example. I don't know if I can pull it up, but anyway, I just thought I would show that or explain this. Maybe if you have any more questions, I can explain. But this could be why, for example, if you don't understand what I'm saying, or if you don't have the patience to understand what I'm saying, or if I seem all over the place, it's not ADD or anything. It's just that it's probably because I'm not as organized as I can be. But a lot of people aren't organized. A lot of people aren't at the level that, like Keto King, even though, like, all these guys, these big YouTubers, right? Keto King, Fresh Fit, Myron Gaines, whatever. And these guys that like to have real estate. Who else can I speak of? Probably I would even say Mark from Mark's Epic Weight Loss, although he's not big yet. Dare I say? But who else? Can I name? There's just so many YouTubers where they got especially Pearl from Pearl. I don't know, Pearl Davis. Who else can I speak of? There's a lot of big YouTubers, with big following. Anton Daniels, especially. Let's see, Smart Money Bros, Coach Greg Adams. Behind what they're saying is like an extremely crazy organization system that they never tell you about, and it would take for them to explain it. Would probably take them a whole week of just having a whole course on it. See, all these people that sell your courses should be selling you a course on, now this is my opinion, on how they organize stuff, and see, like, give you like a day-to-day thing of how they put shit together and what they do. Instead, they tell you to buy courses and all that stuff, and maybe you might end up learning the organized way from that. But this is just my hypothesis, because it seems like I think that when I see someone that's extremely organized, like, for example, my manager. It's funny, my manager, he's like the epitome of organized. He's, in some ways, like, it's weird. I'm like the odd man out at my job, because I'm like the least organized when it comes to certain things, like that, right? Like having a good system for a calendar, using your calendar and stuff like that. I'll show you the finance thing soon enough, but he'll be so organized that, and maybe some of you might relate to him, but I certainly don't relate to this, that he'll know exactly what to say. He doesn't have to come up with any kind of thing on the spot for him to have a conversation. He'll know he'll have the 2 or 3 sentences that he'll say to you when he sees you, and that's all he's gonna say. So he'll and then everything else is faked. It's like these emotions that don't really mean anything, because he knows he's only gonna say those 3 things, and then he's gonna leave. You see what I'm saying? So in terms of the conversation, he'll know exactly what to say. Whereas with me, I'm basically 99% of the times that I talk to somebody, I make everything up. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, and it's not because I can't think my way on things or whatever. It's just because it's a manifestation of a disorganized, like, system of things. So like I'm not, so it's not like it's disorganized, but it's not as organized as it can be, because obviously everybody can be prone to being more random, I guess you could say. But if we were in, if he was going to approach me about, if he was going to even like get out of his chair and go past me, he would know the three things he was going to say already. Yeah, and it would take him less than 1 minute to figure that out. Whereas with me, if I tried to do that, it would take me like 10 minutes before I know I can establish like three things to say to someone. I don't know what it is, yeah. But the more organized I get, the less time it would take for me to come up with that stuff and stuff like that. So it's just a lot of, again, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, or that you might hear about, like recommendations, like you got to do this, you got to do that, you know. How come you don't, how come you're bad at public speaking? How come you can't pick up women? How come you can't, how come you can't make money? How come, it's like, they don't realize that a lot of it is like being organized in a very advanced way. So, and again, I'm not like that at all, but, so I think you have to be open-minded to figuring out how to do that. I mean, you have to go beyond the computer. You have to be five-dimensional about it. It's almost like you're creating something that can float in just in free space, and somehow you can just grab onto it almost. Instead of like just this 2D screen that you look at. You have to look at it multidimensionally. And I don't really know what that means, to be honest. I just know that that's what you got to do, and a lot of people do, but that's just because they've spent so much time figuring out how to get organized. And yeah, that's all I have for today. But I think that was also a lot of reasons why I fell behind on things, you know. And why it was hard for me to pull the trigger at certain times, or I would feel anxious about things, because I knew I was just inherently not advanced in the organization, and I couldn't come up with the words to describe it. But yeah, here's an example of my finances. This is like, I think I might have showed someone, but I can't flip the camera, but you could see, like, you know, this, like, these numbers, like this one shows you how much I saved for the month. This one, I just call it ideal excess of availability. And this like shows the kind of bills that I have. And then these are all like, so this is extremely organized. These are groceries, transportation, random meals, tea, vitality. And I go ahead and add those together. And then this is the sum of the sum. And then this gets subtracted out to give me how much I saved for that month. And then this is how much, in theory, I would have been able to save if I had met these, but then I went overboard on it. So this is just like, this was January, I think. So this is kind of this is like a system I created to be more organized with finances. But there's, you know, I think it just takes time and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was gonna say about my boss and people at my job. I think that they're so organized that they can create the illusion that they're good with their field, but in reality they actually may not be. They're just really good at organizing, so it actually helps them to do well at their current position, because that's what my firm rewards more than anything, is organization, I think. And this is a kind of an interesting thing, because it's like, I sometimes feel bad because I'm thinking like, well, I'm an engineer. Shouldn't I be ideally the most organized person that I know? It's kind of funny, because I'm just not perfect at it. I'm not even close to perfect. I think what happened, okay, so I used to be, when I first started college, because remember I told you when I was going from high school, I had this whole thing drilled in me that I basically had to be organized, or else things, you know, I was just good as dead. So, but then when I started realizing I was getting straight A's, I was getting a 4.0. I kind of stopped that, because I was thinking maybe I'm just smart enough not to have to do any of this. But that was the wrong thought process. So I kind of regret coming to that conclusion. Although it's true to some extent, some of your smarts can overcome being disorganized. It won't help you to be successful that much. Trust me, I've tried it. Thanks for watching.